Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of What Not to Miss with Chris. Today we're going to answer a question related to an event that is getting ready to take place in May. And that question is, will the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance, or the CVSA's International Roadcheck Week, have an impact on capacity this year? And to answer that question, let's start off by explaining what exactly Roadcheck Week is. So the CVSA's International Roadcheck is scheduled for May 14th through the 16th. The CVSA defines these annual inspections as a high visibility, high volume commercial motor vehicle inspection and regulatory compliance enforcement initiative that takes place over 3 days in Canada, Mexico, and the United States. Now, every year, the CVSA focuses on two categories, one mainly directed towards the driver themselves and the other vehicle related. The focus for the drivers this year will be on controlled substance and alcohol possession, while the tractor protection and anti-bleed back systems will be the vehicle related focus. During last year's road check, nearly 60,000 inspections took place, of which there were over 17,000 vehicle out of service violations and over 5,000 driver out of service violations in total. Now, every year, drivers anticipate and prepare ahead of time for road check week, as out of service violations can be costly and put both equipment and drivers on the sidelines for an extended period of time. Now, depending upon what point in time these annual inspections take place and in correlation to what condition the freight market is in at the time, it can determine for carriers and drivers whether it makes sense to have their trucks sit during this 72-hour inspection period or if they should operate as normal. So let's take a look at a couple of data sets to assess where the market is at currently, and from there draw a hypothesis about what kind of impact Roadcheck Week may have on capacity this year. Now, to start, let's look at FTR's total spot load availability and total weekly broker posted spot rates. Now, according to FTR, who partners with truckstock.com, spot load availability has been on the decline over the past 6 weeks. However, according to their 5-year average, the month of May tends to pick up steam in preparation of the Memorial Day holiday. Now, as far as rates are concerned, they have remained relatively flat over the same time period, and according to the 5-year average, tend to increase steadily until peaking right around the mid-year point. Okay, so stick with me now as we take a look at SONAR's contract load accepted volume index in relation to their line haul only national truckload index, which focuses on van spot rates in lanes over 250 miles. Now, from the first week of May last year until about the 13th, van rates fell about 10 cents a mile. Shortly after, spot rates began to increase rapidly, and by the end of May were 5 cents higher where they were when the month started. Now, last year's Roadcheck Week was from the 16th of May to the 18th, which matches up as one of the potential causes for the spike when factoring in carrier displacement. Memorial Day also more than likely played a part in the rate increase, given its time relatively close to last year's Roadcheck Week. Now, something to keep in mind is that during this period last year, accepted contract volumes remained steady as spot rates increased, indicating a tightening of capacity during this period, forcing shippers to push more of their freight into the spot market. Now, the opposite occurred this April, as contract volumes increased almost 8% from the beginning until the end of the month, while spot rates fell over 4%, meaning there was enough reserve capacity available to support increased demand. Now, last year, contract accepted load volumes increased half as much as this April, with spot rates falling 3.1%. Currently, accepted volumes are 7% higher than they were 1 year ago, with spot rates down about 1%. So if volumes remain elevated or continue to grow, spot rates rate may see some life this May, especially if they rise in opposition to contractual rates, which brings us to our last data set, that spread between spot and contract van rates over the past year. Now, the two have remained in a parallel standoff for the past 13 months. However, last May, the spread was right around 52 cents a mile, as opposed to only about 32 cents a mile currently. And the drop on the contractual front represents the greatest month-over-month drop by a landslide. Now, with the spot rates on the floor currently not fluctuating really more than a few cents since February, up seems like an inevitable direction to me. And this all, of course, all being relevant to whether or not Roadcheck Week will impact rates this year, as the narrower the spread becomes between the two, the more appealing spot loads will become over lower paying contractual loads, and in certain markets. So in conclusion, with the increased level of volumes, at least on the contractual side, a slight downgrade in carrier oversaturation since the same time period last year, and the spread between contract and spot loads shrinking, at least for the time being, I would anticipate that if these trends continue or if they elevate, rates at least on a lane by lane basis could see some significant volatility, even as the data doesn't exactly sync up until after the fact on a national level. Well, that'll do it for today. Thanks for checking out another episode of What Not to Miss with Chris. We'll catch you next time.